Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who's popped in because you are curious about what this is or you have got a little bit lost. Welcome, everyone. I'm Chatty, and this is my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter, where I'm going to be chatting away madly about part 2. Yes, part 2 of my New Year Freakout tag, because I talk far too much to just have one video. So if you have not seen part 1, then toddle along over here where you will see me explaining what this is and talking about half of the questions. I have a taggatee where I pick them out randomly, so I don't know if there's any specific questions you're looking for, but it could be in that one or it could be in this one. I put timestamps so you should be able to navigate and find the bits you want to find. So it is one shot, there is no editing, the camera keeps rolling, the chaos occurs. Cheers everyone, clink 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 clink. So I have half the tags left in here to chat through with you, so I'm just gonna have a little drink of water and then we will crack on with the rest of the tags. Okay, so the next tag in the big tag of tea is this one, which is upside down, and it is tag number 2. How exciting! What is the best sequel you have read in the second half of the year? Can anyone guess? Will anyone who has watched my channel a lot be surprised? Oh, it's coming. Oh. It's a Hobb! What a surprise! The one, the only Robin Hobb, the queen of epic fantasy. This is Assassin's Fate, the final book in the realm of the Elderlings. So this is not just the series continuation. It is a series of series final book for now. I had such a journey. With this series, and I think being able to wrap up 16 books, should be 15, but it's 16. No? Yeah, 3 times 5, 15. Yeah, 16. Is amazing. She managed to wrap up the whole thing. There are still, little things I'd love to explore a bit more, but in terms of character arcs, in terms of the different plot pieces, she did an excellent job. We just have faith in the Hobb. The Hobb will deliver, and she delivered. I have so much to say about this book. If you are a fan of the realm of the Elderlings, then generally you'll have a good time. I think some people found some things a little difficult, but I just love Hobb. I think she did it brilliantly, and I don't really think I can say more than that, or this video is going to be mahoosively long. If you would like my Hobb journey more thoughts on Hobb, I have got some Hobb videos. I will link them here. I apologize for the sound, but I talk through kind of my feelings behind the realm of the Elderlings. I let you know when spoilers are happening, when spoilers aren't happening, so go and have a look at that. And then I end up with my full spoilers for the final book of the series. But I love it. I cannot wait to reread the whole series. I'm going to be rereading the whole series in 2025, and I'm really excited about it. I'm adding another book in here. Obviously, Assassin's Fate, gorgeous, wonderful, favourite book. But I just also want to give a little shout out to another book, which is a continuation of a series, and that is Portraits and Poisons by J.T. Williams. So what I really loved about this book, so I've got close to the camera because I'm squinting at it. Also, I feel you need to appreciate this cover because it's beautiful. What I really enjoyed about this book, so at the moment it's a duology. The first book is called Drama and Danger. It is the Lizzie and Belle Mysteries by Dido Bell and Lizzie Sancho, both historical figures in Georgian England. It's set in London. Lizzie and Dido have very different lives, very different upbringings, but they kind of form a friendship together and they solve mysteries together. I really enjoyed their friendship. I enjoyed the different things it was looking at, and I liked the themes, how the first one, Drama and Danger, had a lot of references and explorations of the theatre, and the second one, Portraits and Poisons, looked at art and the art world and the galleries and things. But I also enjoyed how the first book was told by Lizzie and the second book has been told by Belle. So we get both points of view, and they are very, very different characters. They have very different ways of working. Lizzie is a lot more intuition. Dido is a lot more research-based. Belle is a lot more research-based. So it was really, really enjoyable, and I kind of formed together really, really well. I'd be interested to see other people's thoughts on how people found about the kind of mystery side to it. To me, it's a lot more about the themes and the characters rather than the mystery and solving the mystery. But I did really enjoy this book, and I think J.T. Williams has done an excellent job of setting up this little duology. I would really like there to be more series and books that come off it. I don't know if there is going to be, but I'm definitely here for more from these characters. Next tag from the big pot of tea is tag number 10. Which book in the second half of the year made you cry? So I have a couple of books here, but obviously I just need to point out, obviously Hob makes me cry so much in the best way. I just need to get that in there. So books that made me cry, I have two middle grades here. I have two middle grades that I really enjoyed and I got emotional, but for different ways. So I have The Insiders by Mark Ashiro, and I cried happy tears in this book because it explores bullies in a school, it explores identity, it explores friendship, it explores like digging deep and finding your self-belief, it explores injustice, and yeah, all the themes and things that are done in here are done really well. You have a really wonderful sense of the characters in this book, and sort of home life of a Latin American family, and I just really, really enjoyed the characters and this little group of friends, and I just found it really, really uplifting. And there was definitely hard bits to read about in here, so when certain things happened, like it just made me like get the happy tears and that made me angry, and lots of emotions. It produced a lot of emotions on me, and I really, really love this book and think that people should read it. The second book was definitely sad tears, but there's still some joyful moments, some very heartwarming moments in this book, and that is Red, White and Whole by Rajani Larakoka. And this is a novel in verse. It's historical fiction set in the 80s in America, and it is about I think it's like second generation Indian girl who is in school. It's all sort of Eurocentric American culture, and then at home she has her Indian culture and families and friends. So it's kind of, she feels a little bit like she's got like a double life, and she struggles to try and pull both sides of her life together to feel truly who she is. But amongst that, there is an illness in the family that obviously is quite upsetting, and it's the fallout of that and how our protagonist copes with it, and it just, I cried, but it's a beautiful book. I highly recommend this book. Yes. That's all I can say. Both of these books I obviously speak a lot more in detail about in my wrap-ups, so if you want to go and track them down, I will put the playlist of all of my wrap-ups. It's called Curiouser and Curiouser, where I talk about the books I've read in a lot more depth over the months, so I'll put that link there for you. Okay, let's get out the next tag, and it is tag number 1. What is the best book you have read in the second half of the year? So I have 3. Let me just gather them all in. I do find this question fascinating, and it is one that I really used to struggle with, like trying to think of everything you've read, what qualifies as the best. But definitely being a lot more reflective about my reading, talking more about my reading, and being on Booktube for coming up for 2 years has made me really work out my reading taste and what it is that makes books really special to me. And that is like an emotional impact. It is me feeling very, very strongly about things. If the book moves me to such a strong feeling, it definitely like becomes a favorite or a really well loved book. And there were 2 books where I felt very, very strongly, and was not expecting to, I was definitely expecting to enjoy them, but wasn't expecting to enjoy them as much. It's like they absolutely, it was like times 10 of what I was expecting, and it just blew me away. And I just think both books are so important to be read. And then the other one is a slightly different feel to it, but I will move on to that one in a moment. So the first one, after the mysterious introduction, is A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol. It's a small book, it's a middle grade contemporary, but this book was just incredible. It produced such a big emotional response from me. It was, Elle McNichol is its own voice author. She is autistic, the protagonist is autistic, and it's just exploring what that means, what it means to be living as an autistic person in a, they have a word, like neuronormative or something. Let me get the word. Neurotypical. So being neurodivergent and living in a neurotypical world, it was so beautifully put across to help someone who is neurotypical and doesn't know what it means to be neurodivergent have a taste, have an understanding of what they go through every single day. On top of that, it explores bullying, and just the horrificness behind it, and just amongst it, like just not being taken seriously. And it's just done in such a thought-provoking and clear way that just produced such a rage inside me, and I just thought that was so skilled to do. We have this family, they have their sort of difficulties within the family life, but you get to see all of them together, and I really love the different dynamics in this family. So Addie's older sister, one of her older sisters, Keedy, also has autism, also is autistic, and her other sister Nina isn't. And so she has a very different relationship with them, but you see that kind of change and build, and just the sisters ultimately like looking out for each other and coming to terms with that there's sometimes very difficult things that they need to face up to. They've all had their own kind of different journey, and it's also about encouraging asking for help as well. Like, you shouldn't be facing these things by yourself. You absolutely should be talking to people about how you're being treated. You should be getting support. You shouldn't feel like you have to do this all by yourself. And I thought that was such an important message, and I thought it was done so well. It also explores what is a true friend. And I think that is also a wonderful theme I find in children's books. And to be fair, I think it's something as adults we also need to think about as well. Like, there are definitely people in our lives where we feel more comfortable with, and it's making sure that we are choosing to be around the people who will love us the most on our bad days. So you don't have to be a certain type of way for someone to be your friend. And I think that's what true friendship is, and it's done beautifully in this book as well. There is also a really wonderful exploration of witches in here, and the history of witches, that they were people who were different, and because they were different, they were singled out, and people used them as a way to kind of release their anger and feel better about themselves. And witch trials and witch burnings and hangings happened, which appalled Addie, and she really makes a connection to these women that were also different in a different time period, and wants this to be acknowledged that what happened to them was wrong, just like people are singling her out as being different. So it's also a wonderful exploration of, you know, celebrating differences and not making people feel bad because they are different, and taking a moment to think, well, just because that's not how I am doesn't mean it's wrong, and asking and talking and getting to know people, rather than thinking something is different and we need to hide away from it and not go near anything because that might be scary. Such a powerful book. Absolutely loved it. Highly recommend to everyone. Another book that I found really powerful was the children's classic Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, by Mildred D. Taylor. And this book, again, it made me feel lots of emotions. It made me feel really happy. It made me feel devastated. It made me be full of rage. Her writing, again, just to create those feelings with you, is just incredible. And as well as obviously exploring racism in this historic town and farm and things, there's just so many amazing like family values and life values that were explored here that everyone can benefit from as well. So just like a kind of spark, there are so many things that even if this is not your particular circumstances and story, you can still definitely apply these to it. And again, it looks at like surrounding yourself with people who are supportive, who love the true you and your best character traits and encourage those out of you, not people that are using you, trying to work out if you are being used by other people, what makes a healthy friendship, all of those things, as well as standing up for yourself, and that very awkward balance of standing up for yourself but also keeping yourself safe. That was such a fine line that you could see the grown-ups really struggling with in this book, because the world is unjust and unfair, and they have much less rights just because of prejudice and the power dynamic than other people. So being able to explore, yes, we should not be made to feel lesser, but at the same time, we shouldn't really be poking sleeping dragons in the eye and making them turn around and flame us. That was really fascinating to be explored, and it was so hard. It was so hard. And you could see like the kids where everything is like, this is wrong and this is right, and the grown-ups who are like, it doesn't quite work that way, was just so beautifully done. I absolutely cannot wait to continue with this family saga. It's such a wonderful, warm family. I really love all the characters in this book from the Logan family, and can't wait to keep reading. So again, highly recommend Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. It's such a good book. The final book of my best books of the second half of the year is very different. Like, I very much felt both of those, like I said, produced a lot of emotion for me. This one, it was very, I'm trying to work out how to explain it. So this book that I'm about to show you, that you might have seen already because I think I flashed it in front of the screen, when I finished it, it didn't immediately like strike. It was an enjoyable book, it was a lovely book, it was a beautiful book, but it didn't like strike me like the other two struck me as like best book. It was one that a lot was kind of has been simmering for a long time, and it's like very beautifully done. It's very kind of, I'd say, like poetically done. It's just structured in a really nice way that really works for me. The subject matter is close to my heart, one as a book lover, and two as someone that likes to support mental health and healing and the well-being of people, and just reading about stories of like growth and moving forward of characters. It's a character-based book, but it does have a plot, and it's kind of like a surrealist fantasy plot, and it's very beautiful. There's a lot of warmth in it, there's humor in it. I just think it was really well put together, and that is The Cat Who Saved Books by Suzuki Natsukawa. And this has been translated from Japanese by Louise Heel Kawai. And it is, again, it's just another tiny little book, but it deals with a protagonist who at the start of the book loses his grandpa and his kind of way of life and way of being. He's very much kind of an introvert. There is a better word in Japanese for exactly sort of the type of character he is, but it's kind of a book that basically encourages him to step out of his comfort zone a bit more, and through his love of books encourages him to do things he would never have thought of doing. And in that we get growth and healing, and it's just beautifully done. I think what I also love about this book is, from reading this and the way I read it, because it's such a small book, I should have just whipped through it. And I did not read a huge amount at the end of December. And I wanted to. I definitely wanted to. I wanted to be ticking things off. I wanted to be working through my goals and getting the achievement and satisfaction. But actually just to kind of sit back and just be with this book and just be in the moment with this book was so nice. And so important to do that and not rush through it, to like properly take it in and enjoy it. And it just brought me back to, there's been a few booktube videos recently about like, just, you are the only person setting these standards up for yourself. So if it's bothering you, why are you doing it? And this book kind of gave me those feelings, and it's made me feel more chilled out about my reading and just focusing on the joy of the reading, and not so much the tick boxing. I do love a TBR because it helps me to feel focused. I feel a little bit overwhelmed by the choice I have, so I like to kind of have more of a plan. But within that, I like to be, you know, I do enjoy having the right moment for the right book. And this also allowed me to think about just taking my time with it, and I don't need to rush it, and I can just be. And I found that very beautiful. And I think the more I think about this book, and I very strongly feel, again, the more I read this book, it's going to just really cement itself as an absolute favourite book on my bookshelf. So again, I highly recommend that everyone reads The Cat Who Saved Books. No idea how many more tags are left in here. I'm going for this one. Oh, it's a double. So I think I know what this one is. Yeah. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, I picked out two. Well, I'm going for the one that I thought was a double. Accidentally picked out two. So we have tag number 8. What is your newest fictional crush? Yes, we like to keep the cringe in. We like the question in here to keep the cringe. So I haven't got one. I don't usually have a fictional crush on my books. I know that's the boring answer, but it's the truthful answer. Not a new crush, but I do love Brashen from oh, I guess that's a little bit of a spoiler, isn't it? Oops. You see old characters. One of those I had a crush on in Assassin's Fate. Let's move on. So I don't have a fictional crush. I very much have a very slim kind of field of crushing in my books that's currently occupied by Aragorn Strider from Lord of the Rings and Brashen Trell from The Live Ship Traders. But what I do have is 2 favourite romances that I want to talk to you about. I just loved their love stories. I loved the relationship between them. They're very different. Both sort of fantastical. So the first one is The Conductors by Nicole Glover, and it is Hetty and Benji. So if you don't want mild spoilers, I suggest you toddle off until I'm not holding the book up. So Hetty and Benji have a marriage of convenience. They are like teammates. They ran the Underground Railroad together back in the day. Slavery has now been abolished, but there is still sort of work for them to do. They know each other pretty well, and they are living as husband and wife, but they are not like in love with each other. So we get to see their feelings, which is obviously turned into a friendship, just slowly turn into something more. So we have a slow burn friends to lovers realization in this book, and it is beautiful, and it's lovely, and I really love both these characters and how they slowly start being able to talk to each other about this and how they work out what it is that they want to do with their lives. I then have Seeger and Death in Foxglove. I really enjoyed the second installment in the Belladonna series, and I very much enjoyed Seeger and Death previously, and seeing them in Foxglove, they're hot. It sizzles, the chemistry, it's amazing. I very much enjoy them both. And I just enjoy they both have kind of different parts to play, and I love that they give each other space to play them, and I just enjoy the strength of both of them and the affection they have for the other, and that they know what's at stake and they know what they need to do. And there's just moments in here that hurt a little bit, and you just really root for them. I just root for them so much, and it was a joy to read. The next tag, it's the one I pulled out previously. It is tag number 11. Which book did you read in the second half of the year that made you happy? All of the books I have mentioned so far, apart from the disappointing ones, made me happy in some way or other. But the ones I'm going to talk about are just pure happiness for me. Just pure love this book. But haven't fitted it into the other category. So here's the opportunity for me to talk about them. The first one being Black Water Sister by Zen Cho. I love Zen Cho's writing. She is witty. She has fun things to say. She has important things to say. She has characters that call stuff out. This book was a bit of a minefield at certain points about which way the story's going, about how we feel about things, about the different characters in here. And I think it's definitely going to be one that I'm going to reread it and I'm going to love it even more. The characters in here are delightful. Strong female protagonist, has her issues, is dealing through them. Lots of wonderful kind of like culture exploration in here. And it's just so good. I just adored all of those aspects of this book. I have a reread. It is Terry Pratchett's Lords and Ladies. And again, just a joy of reading. This was when I just allowed myself, because I was feeling really burnt out by some very heavy books, I was like, I just need to comfort read. I was like, I feel like picking up that one. So I did. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It gave me all of the joy that I needed. It's such a delightful book. We have a folk tale here. There are themes of A Midsummer Night's Dream. There are really scary characters in here. We have the wonderful trio of witches, Nanny Ogg, Margaret Garlick, and of course the incomparable Granny Weatherwax. Strong in different ways, interesting dynamics between all of them, and it's just a delight to read. A book that you may have seen a few times appearing on this channel. I read this in August. It is Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burton. This is just pure fantasy joy for me. I love the world building. I love the magic. I love the characters. I love the exploration in here. I love the stakes. And I love that it did something different. The protagonist is a siren. She has an urge to kill people because it's part of her nature. And it's how she manages it. And it's how she tries to manage her nature and kind of the messy stuff that kind of happens because of that. And she's kind of embroiled in things and she's not quite sure what to do. And it's just her working out how to move forward in the best way. And the love for her family and the people she cares about is just fantastic. I'm so excited for the second book that I really hope is coming out this year. It was just an absolute joy. And my final one that made me happy, it was a recent read for me. It's a Heartstopper yearbook by Alice Oseman. And it's just pure joy because you are hanging out with the Heartstopper gang. You're getting a free sneaky peek into Alice Oseman's brain and how she conjured up things. You get gorgeous art to look at. You get extra facts about characters. You get little mini stories. And it is just joyful. Let's find, here we go. Look at this wonderful autumn joy right here. We've got a little Nick, little baby Nick there with the wonderful Tori. Still baby Nick. And then we have got current day Nick with his younger brother, and Nick and Charlie, full of autumn joy. And then we've got extra little bits of information about Alice Oseman's journey, and it is just full of coloured illustrations in here. It is an utter delight. Next tag. And it is the one that I just pulled out because I love putting a book tag back in. Okay, we have tag number 15 now. Which Booktube videos or things you have seen on Booktube have you liked a lot? So I'm going in for Booktube videos. So I'm going to be talking about my favourite Booktube videos from other Booktubers. And I think I have got a nice range for you all here. So the first video I want to mention, I don't know how many little pointy things I've got left. All of these are going to be listed in the description box. So all of these videos, you will be able to access them if you go in the description and click on the links so you can see these amazing videos as well and go and support these wonderful booktubers. So the first one I have is Olivia-Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe. I have been a fan of Olivia's work for a very, very long time. Utterly delighted to meet her in person this year and was slightly starstruck, which I have told her, because I have been watching her and just she has inspired so many of my book choices, and she has also taught me a lot about things to look for when I'm reading books in terms of, am I reading diversely, are characters being represented well, and thinking about problematic things in books. So I've learned so much from her. She is an absolutely fantastic booktuber. She is so clever and insightful and thoughtful about her reviews, but also she can flip and turn into uber hyped fangirl, which I also love. I love the serious Olivia, I love the fangirl Olivia. It is great watching for me. Keep them both in. Olivia, keep being yourself. It's wonderful. But the video I really want to talk about is her 10 years on Booktube video. So one, this was delightful for me just because I got to see a real kind of deep dive into how Olivia has found everything and thoughts on everything. So that was wonderful. But I really want to highlight, as well as all that stuff being really interesting, I definitely think you should go and check it out, as she has got a lot of interesting things to say and points to make. It's also really insightful. And I got tearful when I rewatched it to find the bit I was looking for in preparation for this video. So I'm going to leave a timestamp in the description box as well. But if you go to 3436, she is discussing kind of diversity and like kind of like the changes sort of on Booktube, and that it's kind of not really changes, it's kind of static, like there isn't a huge amount of moving forward. One of the conversations that keeps reoccurring is about diversity, and just how she put it was really, really eloquent, and it just really moved me hearing her talk about it. And I just think it is an important topic. I think it really is an important thing, and highlighting again, you know, it's the US's Black History Month in February. So what I don't want you to do is go around ticking a load of black booktubers because it makes you feel better. That is something that Olivia spoke about, that, you know, she absolutely should not be a tick box on your diversity quota. But what we do encourage is that you seek out, specifically go and seek out more minority booktubers. So, you know, black, Asian, booktubers with disabilities, LGBTQ plus booktubers, ones that kind of are talking on authority about their kind of representation in literature. Go and seek those out, because those are not ones that we have pushed to the forefront by the algorithm. It just doesn't. Try and find them, and then find ones where you like the vibe of that person. You're like, I really enjoy this person's attitude, this person's storytelling, the way they talk about things, even if it's not your reading taste, and you can get on board with enjoying their content. Brilliant, subscribe to them. Or you might find someone who has got great recommendations for you because you're like, this person has the same taste as me. Or you might be like, actually, I want to be more informed in, for example, like the horror genre. Please give me more recommendations for the horror genre, and subscribe to them. So think about, don't just be click happy. Think about who you're subscribing to and why, and then be part of it. Be part of their channel, be part of their conversation, and you will just learn so much from accessing their thoughts, their space, their different book recommendations, their you will be getting, what's the word called? There's a word. It's like own experience authors, but it's like something else. I suppose it's kind of like a sensitivity reading from someone who's like, well, actually, I don't think that, for example, the mental health was depicted well in this book, because as someone who has, has suffered from anxiety in their life, this felt really insensitive, that sort of thing. And that's what I love about Booktube, that we have these conversations. And I still think it is okay to enjoy our favorite books and go, this aspect is problematic and I want you to be aware of it. I think that's the more important thing to be doing than getting upset about people explaining that maybe the way some of our favorite books go down is not okay for everyone. Not wanting writing off books we don't have conversations. It's good to have conversations. It's good to be able to talk about these things, and channels like Olivia is so good at doing that, and I'm so delighted that I found her. Please go and have a look. There is the hashtag, there are hashtags like, small booktube, disability booktube, black booktuber. You should be able to, you have to put effort in, but you should be able to find them. And I think it is really important that we support the less well-known voices in our community, because they can just bring something else to the table, and that's brilliant. And that's what we should be having to give ourselves a more grounded world, where more fully experienced, fully fleshed out, richer world and understanding. So yeah, just from that one video, that's what I got. Alongside all the other wonderful things that are in that video, but that is something that I thought was really important that I wanted to highlight. On a similar line, the next video that I really want to highlight is Matt from Bask in the Story. I have already mentioned this video before, sorry, stretching out the legs again because they're going to sleep. In other places, Matt did a really excellent video. He put a lot of effort and time into the editing of this video to kind of really pull it together. And that is the book ban history video that he made. So MJ from the channel Reading This Life has done the challenge of 24 in 24, the Reading Rebellion. Can you read 24 banned books in the year 2024? So as part of that, it inspired Matt to go on and pull together this video about the history behind book banning and some data and some interesting facts around book banning. And it was really, really interesting to watch. There are a lot of other creators doing this sort of thing, so feel free to suggest any other videos like this. I would love to read them. I think there's some fantastic stuff out there that I know I definitely haven't seen, and I would love to. On that same vibe, I really enjoyed a more kind of specific deep dive into banned books, and that is by Coleridgegirl at Pick Your Pop Culture Poison. And their video, Banned Book Challenge Melissa. So Melissa by Alex Gino is the story of a trans girl. It is a middle grade. The amount of times I have taken it out of the YA section in my local library and put it back in the middle grade. Can't always speak to a librarian because there's not always one there. Yeah, I've done it a lot. It's a middle grade. Melissa is a middle grade, perfectly fine being a middle grade. It's such a middle grade book. It is. And so I really appreciated Coleridgegirl's video exploring why this book is banned, how she found it, what she was looking for, and just kind of discussions on it. I thought it was really well put together. And I even commented in the comments. I was like, I just applauding you, because yes to everything you said. I can't put it better than what she did. So go over there and watch her video. In a slightly different vein, but still really important video that I have recommended to people is Jack from Spread Book Joy. This is a very recent one actually. She very recently made this video called How to Do Booktube the Right Way and What I Have Been Getting Wrong. Now, I really enjoyed that a few people have gone into this getting ready to feel criticised, and it is such a nurturing, important video. Basically, spoilers, the only right way to do Booktube is the way you want to. That's it. So it was a really fun exploration of Jack's journey to kind of get to that point. And I really love how she sets it out, how she pulls it all together. It feels really right. And I definitely think these are the sorts of videos that we should be sharing and supporting with each other, because I think we can get sucked in to what we should be doing and thinking about the algorithm. And it's actually like, it's about your creativity. It's about your book joy. It's about your delight with reading and your thoughts on reading and how you want to share your love of reading. So make sure you're having fun with the creation of it all as well. Like, make sure you're having fun with Booktube. Like, it's not a stress. Yes, it can feel really disappointing. I have suffered this myself. I was in a really good system of releasing 2 or 3 videos a week. The moment I stepped back for 2 weeks and didn't release anything, my little graphs plummeted. They plummeted so hard, and they did not go back up until I think it was, a good like half a year. And they're still not back up where they were back when I took that break. So I get it. There is this pressure we put on ourselves, but at the end of the day, does it matter? Not really. Most of us, you do get some few people that just suddenly click and shoot and their channels just take off, and hooray for you, fair play to you, that's delightful. For most of us, it's a slow grind. It's a slow grind or a stagnant stay. But the point of this is, we're not on here to be, as nice as it is to kind of, and I do say like my videos because it's nice to get a like. It feels like you're getting some sort of feedback for things you're putting out there, and no one wants to have a conversation. We're having a conversation. No one wants to have a conversation with a brick wall that doesn't give you anything back. So those things are important. But in terms of like the numbers, in terms of like why you're doing things, make sure you're doing it joyfully and in a stress-free way, because this is what it's about. It's about our community. It's about our joy of reading. It's about our love for things. Don't let the numbers ruin your day. It's hard, but don't let the numbers ruin your day. So let's end on a really fun note. So the one I want to recommend to you all is a really fun video. I always like to recommend a fun video as well, because this is what we have, such a rich array of Booktube, of delight and joy in Booktube. So I'm going to recommend Aaron from Aaron Read a Book, How to Read Less. Go and have a laugh with Aaron about how to read less. I think it's a really fun, well put together video that made me laugh when I was watching it, and we all need to laugh sometimes. So if you're feeling a little bit low, go and check that one out. But all of these videos I was just really impressed with. There are so many more I could mention, but I have to limit myself. But I think I've given you a nice range of different things on here. I think that's my biggest, a little bit of tag chat. So we've got 2 more left. 2 more. Oh, this is like the penultimate tag, and this is my last bit of chat tag. What are your most, except that's incorrect, because I didn't do part 2. I was too excited. So there's 3 tags and the last one doesn't really count. So this is the penultimate tag. What are your most anticipated releases for the new year? The first half of January to June. I'm going to whip through this really quickly because I want to answer the question, but I have a video which I will link here. Skip ahead to my anticipated releases in that video because I will go into them in much more depth. But in a nutshell, I'm looking forward to 2 YA books in February. I don't know if I'm going to get around to reading them. I'm definitely not buying them because they didn't quite make the list. But I'm very excited for Case and Calendar's Infinity Alchemist, which is a YA fantasy. And I'm very excited for, I can't remember her name and that's terrible of me. But I'm very excited for The Tempest of Tea. It just sounds so much fun. I am delighted to continue some of my favourite series. We have the middle grade series on Yeka and the Sun Academy, I think the series is called, but we have the next on Yeka book, and I can't remember the name, but it's book 3. I'm very excited about that one in March. Also in March, Catherine Arden has a new adult book. I think it's sort of like historical fiction, magical realism with like a spooky vibe, and it's called The Warm Hands of Ghosts, and I'm very excited. Another favourite author of mine, I've already mentioned him on here, P. Jelly Clark. He has a new novel coming out, and it is called I've just written the short version, I can't remember the full version. It's all going to be in the description. It's something like the Blind Cattail Assassins or something like that. The Cattail Assassins? It's just something Cattail Assassins. Cattails and Assassins. That's all you need to know about that book. I'm excited about it. It sounds thrilling. I have mentioned the wonderful, one of my favourite books of the last 6 months was A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol. She has the story of Addie's sister Keedy. We have Keedy coming out in April, and I am so hyped for that book. I'm so highly anticipating Keedy, middle grade contemporary. I then have another middle grade fantasy, which is coming out in May. I mentioned this author as well, Abby Elphinstone. I will be reading everything I can from her. Previously discussed it, don't need to go into it again. But she has a new book in a fantasy series coming out, and it is called Ember Spark and something about a dragon. Again, I've just written shorthand and hoped that I'd know what it was. It's in the description box. Ember Spark. Another one that I'm interested in, I may or may not pick up from the library, and I've just written down, and I can't remember what it's exactly called. It's like you can't do torture without tea or something like that. Torture and tea. It's got the word torture, it's got the word tea in the title. I cannot remember the author, but it's a book that had previously been published, but I think with the rise of and delight of Legends and Lattes, cozy low stakes fantasy books have been being pushed out if they've got them on lists to be re-released. It looks very beautiful. I don't know, it's a lot for me to kind of take a chance on, but I definitely want to see if I can get it out the library, because I could vibe really well with it. So we'll see how that goes. But those are the books I'm anticipating. Okay, the question that I fluffed, it was my question prompt 8, because I had prompt 8A. So because I don't have a fictional crush, even though I spoke about my favourite romances, I include the question, who are your new adopted book babies or children? So I don't have fictional crushes. I'm not the mother of dragons, I'm the mother of ships. But I have lots of book babies in my books and I want to tell you about them. So I'm briefly going to go over ones where I have mentioned these books before, but I needed to mention the book babies. So from Beartown, I have adopted Amat and Bobo for different reasons, but I really enjoyed their storylines. I think there were some adorable things in here, and I just brought them into my heart, and they are now part of my adopted family. Hunger of the Gods is quite an interesting one. So I have adopted Lif, one of the characters in Hunger of the Gods. I very much enjoyed the relationship he has with other characters in here, and there's a lot of nurturing needed for him. There's just something about him that I'm like, yeah, come and join, come to the table, I'll feed you some porridge, come and tell me all your problems, come and have a hug. That's very much the vibe from him. But also weirdly, there was another character in here that I also kind of adopted, and I don't think I would ever tell her. I may very easily die should I meet her, but there's a part of me that has adopted Orca. If you've not read the book, I don't want to go into it, but there's just a little bit of a softening. There's just some things in here, and I just want to give her a hug. I just feel she needs a hug. She has a hard life. She's carrying a battle axe around. She's carrying a shit ton of revenge around. I think she just needs a hug. In fact, what she needs is some characters from the Becky Chamber books to kind of come in here and do some visiting. That would be an amazing crossover. Yeah. That would be fun. Right, complete tangents. There was one more. Yeah, also I've already spoken about I adopted Hetty as well. She doesn't need me, she's amazing, but I've adopted her. She's come into my heart and she's staying there. We'll write to each other. I'll just be there on hand with tea when she needs me. And Cassie, of course, she has an amazing family. She doesn't need me, but I adopted her as well. Okay, ones I have not mentioned now. From the High Rise Mystery, I've adopted Nick. Nick is adorable. Nick, there were so many things in that book that Nick was dealing with, and I again Just wanted to give her a little hug. She's got a wonderful dad, but I just felt she could have done with a little bit of a hug. We could have done a little bit of art therapy together. I'm not trained, but I do love a bit of craft. So I would have been more than happy to do that with Nick. She's such a sweet character. She's really clever. She is an introvert, which she kind of struggled with, and she's got an extrovert sister who's amazing. I love the combination of the two of them. But yeah, there's just something about Nick where adopted as well. A few more to go. I have Julia from Julia and the Shark. She goes on a big journey. I loved this book. I had such an amazing time reading this book. This book is gorgeous. Beautiful depictions of mental health, loved ones having to mental health, dealing with all of that. So many moments in here that I wanted to adopt Julia, that I wanted to just be there for her. Again, hugs. I'm a hugger. Sorry if you're not a hugger. I would check with everyone before giving out unwanted hugs, but hugs just make things so much better. I love hugs. They're just such a wonderful, warm and cozy invention. And Julia needed a lot of them in here. A lot of them. And there was something that happened in here that I feel annoyed with. And how that kind of went down. And yes, I can understand and see the message in it because of how you want children to be at certain things. But I thought it was overly harsh on Julia and her character choices. I kind of don't really fault her so much on it. Like, I can see, but actually maybe it needed to be called out, and she definitely needed hugs from that. If you want to know what I'm talking about, I did have a spoiler version of my August wrap up. I think I read this in August, so if you want to know more, go and have a look there. Finally, Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. How can you not want to adopt Nick and Charlie? They are just such the cutest little beans, and they are so sweet. They are so sweet. And again, they've got warm families. Like, Nick's mum is the mum. She is the mum. She's delightful. And Charlie just has the best big sister ever. I love her as well. But I still need to adopt them. Darcy, I have also adopted. I adore Darcy. Darcy is just such a funny, wild, crazy character. And she's so delightful. And just the dynamic of her in the group. But I've just also adopted her because she just sometimes, she doesn't make choice. She struggles sometimes with the choices she makes, and she's worried she's upset everyone. So again, it's just the need to hug people. I think that's where my adoption criteria comes in. Just the need to give out hugs to people. So yes, that's my final adopted book baby for this year. And what a lovely way to end the video on hugs. I hope that if you need a hug, you have someone who can give you a hug. And if not, what I like to do when there is no one around to give me a hug and I need one is either a hot water bottle or a hot pack, and then wrapping a cozy blanket really tightly around. It feels like a hug. So that's always good. And I will offer you a metaphorical hug. Is that the right word? I don't know what the right word is. But anyway, hugs are great. Let's all have a hug. Right, hugs aside, let's do the final tag. And it is tag, you are it. I have already spoken about a lot of people in this video already, and this video is very long. We are coming up to the end of the second hour, and there's going to be lots of books in the description as well as lots of booktubers. So I am not specifically tagging people in this video because I have already mentioned a lot of booktubers in here. So please, if this seems fun for you and you want to do it, please do it. Please tag me in it so that I can see you've done it. I would love to hear all your answers. Or if you do not have Booktube or any other kind of like book media, please put your answers to the questions in the comments below, because I'd love to hear about what you thought of the books of the second half of the year. Hope you're having a fantastic new year and are feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. But if not, then, you know, we've covered the hug, warm blanket, you know, look after yourself thing, because that's important. I'm going to go now. I hope you all have happy reading. I'm going to go make that cup of tea that I should have made from the beginning of this video, but knew it would have got cold. It would definitely have gotten cold. So I've got books to tidy up and tea to drink. So happy reading, everyone.